Trying to conceive in your 40s comes with so many pre-built-in challenges. You are told at every opportunity that things are going to be difficult. You are constantly being given statistics and reminded that your chances aren't great. It's exhausting. But what no one is telling you is that couples over 40 are actually the most rapidly growing age group for those having children. So if it can happen for so many, why shouldn't it work for you? Today's episode is a really special one because I am joined by one incredible woman who has walked a long, a complex, and deeply emotional fertility journey and is now pregnant at 44. And what I love so much about this story is how she was able to lean on her spiritual practices and trust that her baby was on the way, even when there was no evidence to suggest that it was, and even in her darkest moments.
Welcome to your journey to fertility. This is the podcast that blends science with spirit to give you all the tools you need as you navigate your fertility journey. I'm your host, Jennifer Edmonds, and for the last 15 years, I've been helping women on their journeys to motherhood and beyond. I believe that combining the latest scientific research along with the best energetic and mindset practices will help you to avoid putting your life on hold and bring you closer to your baby. Each week, you'll learn ways to support your fertility and trust your body so that you can stop stressing that you'll never have your baby and finally walk your path to motherhood. This is the Your Journey to Fertility podcast.
Hello, welcome back to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here with me today, for pressing play, for sharing your time, your energy with me. If you are not aware, July is a very special month over here at Element because we gear up for our biggest live event of the year. And in the lead up to this series, I absolutely love sharing with you some of the stories from other women who have joined me inside this training program in previous years. And I share these stories for one very important reason. They were exactly where you were once before. They thought the happy ending was impossible, but against all the odds, and this story today, I will absolutely prove that to you. She was against many odds. They were able to bring their babies home. Because something incredibly powerful happens when you see someone just a few steps ahead of you on this journey. Your brain starts to realize that maybe, just maybe, this is actually possible for you too. And that little window, that crack of light that starts to get into your nervous system, that is where things start to shift. Before I introduce my wonderful guest for today, I want to remind you that it is less than 2 weeks, my gosh, the countdown is on, until we start this huge live event called Embrace the Journey. Last year, we had over 3,000 women registered from 6 different continents. I don't even know how many countries were included in that. It is hands down the most comprehensive mind-body fertility training that you are going to find anywhere on the internet. We have 3 days together where I'm going to show you the exact process that I use when it comes to these guided practices of fertility yoga, meditation, and breath work, and how you can use them on your own journey. And it doesn't matter where you're at, whether you are trying to conceive at home, you're going down the medical path, even if you are in the middle of an IVF cycle, this series will be safe for you. I will modify it exactly depending on where you're at. And it's completely free. Please come and meet me. Come and ask me all of your questions. Come and sit in the incredible energy of so many women who get it. So the registration link is in the show notes. Get your free ticket now. I will email you all of the details. And when you register, you get 2 free bonus gifts just for signing up. So please go and do that right now if you haven't already. So today I am joined by my wonderful student, Nadia. Now, her path was not linear or easy, and it included multiple rounds of IVF, pregnancy loss, many moments of hope, and also so much heartbreak. And through it all, she has continued to show up, to keep going, and to find her way back to herself again and again. And what I love so much about this conversation, it's not just about the outcome. It was everything that she went through along the way, all of the shifts, the resilience, the support, the inner work, and the real honest experience of navigating your fertility journey when things are not going to plan. And she's also just fabulous fun and so fun to listen to. She really dove into all of the woo-woo practices along her journey, which I just so resonate with. And she just knew that she was being guided at every stage. So whether you are in the middle of IVF, you're moving through loss, or you simply need a reminder that your story is still unfolding, I hope this episode gives you a sense of connection, possibility, and hope. Let's dive in. Here's Nadia.
Nadia, I'm so thrilled that we are able to sit down together today and share your story because it is a big one. And I'm just so honored that you said yes to coming in and speaking with me today. Thank you for being here. Can we learn a little bit, just for context, who you are, where you're from, and maybe take us back to the very beginning of your fertility journey?
Jen, firstly, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with you and your beautiful listeners and your community. I genuinely appreciate that. Telling you a little bit about myself. My name is Nadia. I am originally from South Africa. I have been living in Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, for close to 19 years now. Originally came over, my brother was living here and decided I'd come over for about 2 years. And as many expats in Dubai, we know that doesn't always go according to plan. 2 years now has turned into 19 and I'm still here. Jen, I've had a wonderful last 20 years. I've had a lot of fun. I was always the party girl in Mykonos. I was always the one traveling. I was always married to my career, was climbing the career ladder as such. Had wonderful jobs in Dubai. I was PR for a lot of big brands, Harvey Nichols, Bloomingdale's, all the retail brands, traveled the world so much. Never really thought about future, family. There was no reason to kind of stop and get serious about anything until a lot of my friends, most of my friends, I should caveat and say, started meeting their partners, getting engaged, getting married, which led me to be the girl with 27 dresses, always the bridesmaid, never the bride, which kind of started to get me thinking, well, gosh, maybe I should start thinking about this at some point. But I was on such a high from my career. There was no reason to kind of stop and think, oh, maybe I need a serious relationship, or maybe I need to think about this. And then those same friends started having babies and kids, and they were forming these little communities. And I was kind of the girl that was still, on a work trip to Switzerland. And I would come back and intimately attend a baby shower. Age was kind of creeping up on me. And I remember celebrating my 40th birthday in Mykonos. Oh, wow, I have just turned 40. Maybe it's time to get serious about things. I had dated quite a bit and stuff, hadn't really met the man of my dreams for whatever reason. Dubai being a very transient city, I would never really meet the right person that was for me. And I was invited to this wedding in Italy, in Como. I was 42 years old at this stage, and I think I was probably one of the few singles at that wedding. And lo and behold, this school friend of mine introduced me to his cousin who was recently divorced. And I happened to hit it off at the wedding, thought it was a fun fling weekend, typical of me. Came back to Dubai, didn't really think anything of it. Fast forward a couple of weeks and land up being very serious in a relationship. And a few months later, move in together. I have to also add in that during this time, I was experiencing a lot of difficulty because my dad was going through Alzheimer's at a very rapid rate. And he ended up passing away in February of 2023. And it was just really, really a lot for me to deal with. But I looked at the person that was now in my life as a gift that my dad was leaving me with. And I was so grateful to have that and to have that comfort. And that's exactly what my partner was at the time. He was such a great source of strength for me. And I just, wow, I'm so, so lucky. How can life ever get better than this? This is just amazing. I'm so, so blessed that I finally found my person. And wow, I just felt I felt safe for the first time in a long time. I felt I didn't need to chase those holidays. I finally had a partner. We landed up moving in together. And then a few months later, we landed up getting engaged in Scotland. I must say, Jen, that I am very into the woo, as you know a little bit about, and I wanted to get married on a specific date, and that date was 11/11. I also wanted to get married in the year of the dragon, which was 2024. So I was hoping that my partner was on board with these things, considering that the wedding would be 3 months after we got engaged. And he just looked at me and said, no one's going to attend our wedding. And it's too short notice. I didn't care. I still went ahead with it, gave people 6 weeks notice, and landed up having a wedding party of 20 people, and I got the date that I wanted. In all this time, Jen, we had not spoken about creating a family. I just didn't think this was on the cards for me. I was now 43 years old and just thought, I've always been told I've had a low ovarian reserve. Watched friends go through IVF. I've watched friends have their kids 10 years ago. And I just thought, I've met the man of my dreams. We're so happy. We'll be happy together forever. We'll have such a fulfilling life. We both love traveling. We're both successful. We're in Dubai. We love the outdoors. We've got great families. Why would we want to change that? We were invited to a wedding in Cape Town in December, a month after our wedding. And we happened to drive past a fertility clinic. We just both looked at each other and we just said, we've never been to one of these doctors before, together. What do we think? And on that actual drive, the conversation came up about kids. It was very strange. So yeah, why not? Let's go for it. Everything else has been so spontaneous in our relationship. Let's go and have a conversation. So I called the lovely receptionist at the clinic, and she managed to squeeze us in, explained to her that I'm traveling back to Dubai the next day, and could she get us an appointment? And she did. Went to meet with the doctor, and he explained a few very basic things to us, the realities of our age, and according to him, and what we can expect should we decide to go down this journey, and also the logistics of doing treatment should we wish to in kind of South Africa. These are the costs. And I just thought, okay, well, we've got information now, and that's great. And we'll just, if this is something we want to explore, we've got the information. And this kept on playing in our mind. We thought, let's try and speak to some doctors in Dubai. So I went to see a GP. Little did I know that this would be a really, really long journey and what would lie ahead of us. Like everyone who starts out, I trusted the process. I trusted all the information that was given to me from South Africa. Thought, okay, I'll just get my lining up. I will travel when I need to the egg extraction, and then we'll fertilize the egg, and that'll be done. That'll be it, And went through the first transfer in South Africa in Cape Town, spent about 3 weeks there, and was very confident that everything would go smoothly, very simple. Well, this is easy. Gosh, we've been so lucky. We've been so lucky in life. Of course this is going to work, Came back to Dubai to the same GP we had visited, did a beta-HCG test, and we were pregnant. We were so happy. And this stage was March 2025. And we're like, wow, that was easy. That was great. Little did I know that on the second beta-HCG test, my levels would drop. I thought naively, oh, maybe they'll come up again. Maybe on the third test, they'll come up again. And they didn't. And I was really, really devastated. I just couldn't believe it. I just thought, but we did everything right. We did exactly what they told us to do. The man in the white coat explained everything to us. He didn't say there'd be any issues. My uterus was fine. I'm perfectly healthy. All the blood tests that he had done were perfectly normal. I can't understand what's going on. And it was kind of the first sort of disappointment and loss I'd experienced since losing my dad. And I felt all these triggers come up again. Being quite a positive person and quite resilient, I thought to myself, you know what? We will just try again. We'll just go again. We'll go back to Cape Town in July. So between March and July, I thought, now I'm really going to find a fertility clinic in Dubai to kind of help me. In South Africa, I was told it's a numbers game, and just to come back and try again, and not to worry, and there's nothing wrong with me, and it's just the luck of the draw. The doctor was quite blasé about things, and just kind of giving everyone the same protocol. And once I started researching a little bit about this, where I knew where to research at the time, doesn't make sense. Not every woman's body is the same. Not everyone's age is the same. Not everyone's genetics is the same. I was like, how can this be that, everybody gets the same protocol? So found a great new clinic, which I thought it is a great clinic, but maybe not for me, in Dubai. But I kind of experienced the same thing where she was putting a lot of emphasis on, she said, let's go for hysteroscopy. Went for hysteroscopy. Everything looks beautiful. Uterus is textbook. There's no issues with your uterus. It must be the embryos. And I thought, okay, it must be the embryos. I'm listening to the person in the white coat again. And maybe it was just the luck of the draw. We had tested the embryos. All of them were euploid. Maybe we just got a dud. We'll go to Cape Town and everything will be fine. She also adjusted the protocol slightly. So I was told to down-regulate. Uterus looks great. I'm really confident. Let's go back to Cape Town. We're ready. We're excited. Got the lining up in Dubai. Everything was perfect. Repeated the process, Jen. And came back to Dubai, tested, and the same thing happened. Chemical pregnancy. Numbers just continued to decline, but now at a more rapid rate. I can't tell you what I experienced after that, because I really thought I had done everything. I found myself not being able to leave the house. I thought my relationship was going to completely deteriorate. I blamed myself. I blamed my husband. We'd spent all this time, all this money, and just so frustrated and just thinking, this is so unfair. This is so unfair. And at this stage, I was going to be, I had just turned 44, Jen. And I just thought, this is so unfair, and life is so unfair. And, you gave me a taste of a wonderful life, and now you've just taken it away again, and maybe I'm not meant to be a mom. And I was in a really, really dark place, Jen, to the point where I just thought, I'm just going to give up now on everything. I couldn't work. I couldn't focus. Just trying to lose all this weight that I put on. I was angry and my body had changed so much for no reason. I was really angry and upset at the world. If I ever believed that there was a God, I now definitely didn't. I couldn't even lean into my woo practices because I was just angry. I was like, I tried everything. And as life would have it, life starts to teach you to believe in divine timing once again. And if I could share anything with your listeners, at this part of the story, it would be to trust that there's a bigger plan, and a bigger plan for you that you can't even imagine. I met a very dear friend of mine who was teaching TRE, and she was helping me process that grief after those two losses, as well as the loss of my dad, which I realized I hadn't fully processed yet, and that was resurfacing. And when I came across her, she said to me, look, I don't think you should give up on this dream. She said, there's a lady who used to live in Dubai, and her name is Jen, and she teaches something called fertility yoga. And I was like, fertility yoga? I said, I hate yoga. How does that even work, fertility yoga? Okay, fine. I said, but I'm not sure if I'm ready to deep dive into it again. And she said, no, it's not like that. I said, just start following her on Instagram, just look her up and just see what she does. And she helps you process a lot of stuff. I was like, this sounds too good to be true. I was just like, let me see what she's offering. And at the time, luckily, Jen, you were offering your kind of free trial period. And I managed to make it just in time for those free trials. Again, divine timing. And I was like, oh, this is lucky that I've come across this. So I can try before I buy. That's great. And I did that free trial, and I tried to do as many of the yoga sessions as you were offering. I think there were 3 of them. And you kind of had the opportunity to explain to us what you do, what to expect. And I'd never come across anything like this. And what I really loved is that you could do it in the privacy of your own home. I could do it in my pajamas. I didn't want anyone to see me fall over standing on one foot. So it was perfect. What particularly piqued my interest was the fact that you had a bit of breath work. You were offering other experts from different industries to come and speak in the program and stuff. So it was so much more than yoga, Jen. And I signed up. This was in August 2025, at the end of August 2025. I started becoming very addicted to the content. I found myself watching all the live replays from the workshops that you had offered students. I found myself diving into yoga, looking forward to it, joining a lot of the live calls that were based on my time zone. And it was just become routine for me and something I looked forward to on a daily basis. And it was getting me out of the funk in a massive way. And I loved the fact that I felt safe doing it. I was alone, but I was also in a community. And I really loved that. And because you and your listeners and your community will know, it is such a private, devastating journey that you go through where you feel a sense of loss and personal failure, that it's only people that actually go through it will understand. And for the first time, I felt I had found that community, listening to other women, knowing that I wasn't alone, learning from people's triumphs and losses, and just that this was a universal thing that people were experiencing. And so many women are sitting in, silent sadness, not being able to express themselves and just going on these journeys alone, but they don't need to. And I felt such a sense of comfort, and that really brought me out of my shell. It just gave me a lot more hope. So much so, Jen, that through speaking to a lot of the people that you bring into your program, I kind of learned what to look for and where my missing links were. Because I'd experienced such deep, dark depression after the second chemical pregnancy loss, I knew that my mindset was where I needed to go to and to fix. And it wasn't just simple meditation, guided meditations that I could do on one of my apps like Insight Timer. I really kind of needed coaches, and I needed people to deal with me personally. And I found those people within your course. And they were just so wonderful. And I found ways and tools to kind of help me and guide me, whether it was personalized nutritional support or mindset coaching, or whether it was just hearing from expert international doctors that I didn't even know existed, and what to look for and test for. Looking at things like immunology, looking at things like autoimmune disease, looking at things like my pathology, which were things that I didn't even knew existed and affected fertility. And I started to learn a lot about my own biology and things that would help me, not just in the fertility space, but should I, God forbid, get cancer one day or have to go for major surgery or transplant. These results that I found having done the blood work from learning about these from these experts would save my life one day. I came to learn that I had elevated natural killer cells. So I would always wonder why I never got COVID. Well, at least I didn't think I got COVID. It was because my defense systems were so high and my immunity was so high. And that was warding off a possible pregnancy as well. The fact that I had a risk for blood clotting, didn't know, which was also something that was also a factor in my fertility. That could also affect so many things that you so many treatments that you could have in the future. So slowly through the program and connecting with these experts, I kind of put the pieces of the puzzle together. I also learned to advocate for myself when I was seeing these people in these white coats. I continued to see different doctors in Dubai. Everyone that was recommended to me, I just didn't feel a connection with them. I just didn't feel like, the woo in me was connecting with the woo in them. My husband and I would sit there and we would say, how did you feel? No, I didn't feel good. Okay, next. And we were paying thousands for these doctor's appointments and going for tests with them. And nobody was giving us a holistic point of view. A lot of doctors don't believe in, immunology affecting fertility, but I knew that it would, from your program. A lot of them don't think that a lot of these tests are worth doing. They just believe in standard protocol. And I felt like I was going into a Carrefour market every Saturday morning. That's how I felt. I felt like a number. And I wasn't getting the specialist treatment. And again, I kind of thought to myself, what I'm going to do now is pray for the right healers. I really need to pray for the right doctors, to meet them and to kind of, bring them energetically into my space. And lo and behold, again, divine timing, a friend of mine who I hold very dear, Australian friend, said to me, a friend of mine who is the same age as you has just found this fantastic doctor who's moved to a new clinic. And she happens to do one of the few doctors who happens to do IVF, and she's an OB in one. And guess what? She studied in South Africa. She happens to be Argentinian, but she studied in South Africa. I think you'll get on really well with her. And I thought to myself, wow, she sounds like a winner. Great. Hopefully she's open-minded and she knows a few things. After a long wait, I managed to get an appointment with her and explained my story to her. And she simply rolled her eyes and she said, I've seen these cases so many times and I can help you. And she was so wonderful, didn't see it as a struggle. She knew exactly which tests I should go through. She connected me to hematologists, rheumatologists, and all the tests came back just in time. And when I say just in time, in parallel to me finding her, I knew that I had to find a specialist fertility clinic anywhere in the world that would be better than the one in South Africa that I went to, and that would be more accommodating and feel like more of a connection than the ones I did in Dubai. Started doing a lot of research as well. And what I had learned through your program as well in the mindset work, Jen, was I realized that you've got to go where you feel good. And I thought to myself, where do I always feel really happy? Where do I always feel really good? Where is kind of my happy place in the world? And that happy place was always Greece. I had the best holidays in Mykonos. I'd always found my joy there. Started doing some research, and lo and behold, they have some of the best fertility clinics there. Who would have known? Really incredible doctors. We found a fantastic clinic in Greece. They sent my husband for multiple sperm samples, and we were told to come back at the end of November, and we'd be ready in time for everything. In that time, Jen, I was feeling very, very grateful, very confident, was very happy with doctors, very happy with the process, continued to do the last minute testings that I did. In conjunction with that, we decided to look at some alternative therapies as well together, because I thought I can't leave out my woo. So I started to do a lot of acupuncture, and I continued to learn through you in that time, and went over in November and had our final FET, which was a success. Nervously came back and had those beta HCG tests, and the 2-week wait, as we all know, is just so daunting and so stressful. But the yoga got me through it, the breath work got me through it, the distractions got me through it, listening to your podcasts got me through it, and we came out on the other side okay. And that's my story. I know you've just asked me one question, Jane, and I've just told you everything. But yes, that's
Nadia, I love your story so much. Thank you for sharing all of that. I was laughing, I was crying. It was everything. So thank you. Oh, there was one thing that you said in all of that just hit me through to my soul, which was you gave me a little taste of what I could have, and then you took it away. And I think that, oh my gosh, that makes me so emotional. So many people listening to that will understand what you meant. You find the love of your life and you think, gosh, the only thing that would complete this would be to have a family. And you realize that it's not going to be so easy. Or then you fall pregnant and you lose the baby and you just think, what rhyme or reason is there? Why do we go through so much of this? And like what you said there, you have to lean into trusting that there is going to be a time and a place where things work out. And for me, that was the hardest part of the whole journey was saying, well, I want this yesterday. Why do I have to trust in the divine timing of, well, it might be next year, it might be in 2 years? No, I did not want to hear that. But sometimes when you can be a little more open, you can look back and you say, okay, things were coming together and it worked out the way it worked out. And I just love that you shared in so much detail, so many synchronicities and so many little things that I think we really get us through this journey. Because, if it's just about the medical procedures and it's about the testing and the doing what the doctors say, it's unbearable. It's so unbearable. So thank you for sharing all of that. I have so many questions for you. I loved how you said that I was the same as you. Like, I don't even like yoga. This is not my thing. So what was it that made you say, yes, I'll give this a go? Was it I've tried everything, I'll give this a go? What was it that kind of piqued your interest in the whole yoga thing? Because I hear this a lot. I would love to hear it from you.
Jane, great question. Like many of your listeners, I was at the stage where I was willing to try anything. But what was super comforting to me was the fact that I could do it in the safety of my own home, in my pajamas, at any time of the day. I wasn't going to be judged. I didn't have to do something if I couldn't do it. I wasn't bendy and flexible like a lot of the 20-somethings that kind of pull off these yoga moves. But once I started doing it, I just realized it was a different type of yoga, Jen. It was something that I'd never really done before. And I started to feel really good within myself. The fact that you start every yoga practice with just a centering and a calming and just letting you hold yourself and just being there for you. You're taking time out to do this practice for you, to give love back to yourself. And that's something I had forgotten. I'd forgotten how to do. I'd lost myself in this journey and I needed to come home to myself. And coming to that mat every day, even if it was, I couldn't finish a whole class, even if I just do 10 minutes, I was just so proud of myself for holding myself. And I really started to connect with my inner child at that stage. And just going back to her and just being like, it's okay. We're together. I'm here. And we're going to try this new thing and try to have fun with it. And we did. And that's what helped me continue with it.
I always say to people, you don't have to do yoga. It doesn't have to be the thing that helps you through this. But I feel like when you get into that point, and you described it so beautifully, where you have these rock bottom moments where you're like, I don't think I can go on with this journey. I always say to people, you've got to find something. You've got to find the thing that pulls you through it. Because if you don't, I mean, maybe your journey will work out, maybe it won't. But this idea that we lose ourselves is so upsetting. And I hate the fact that pretty much every woman that I work with will say to me at some point, I just miss who I used to be, or I wish I could go back to that loving, carefree, naive person before this whole journey brought them down. And so if you are listening to this and you think, oh, maybe yoga is for me, I don't know, look, give it a go, because as Nadia said, look what happened. But even if you don't want to, you do just have to find something that is able to ground you and center you and just give you your life back, because it is such a miserable place to be. And you owe it to yourself. Your life is so much more than this journey. So I appreciate you sharing that as well. I would love to know what looked different in your life from finding more of this grounding practice and being able to lean into these more woo-woo sides of things and connecting with your inner child and your spirit baby. What were like some of the little things that you noticed had changed either in your day or within your body that gave you that motivation to keep going?
What gave me the motivation from all these practices was that I actually felt like I was coming back to myself. I was learning so much about my own body, my mind, and I was enjoying alone time. I've been such a social butterfly for most of my life, always trying to people please, being in public relations. You're always trying to keep either the client happy or the consumer happy. It was just in my DNA. And I had to rewire my entire brain and allow it to feel safe and familiar in the unknown, which opened a whole new Pandora's box for me that I just love. And even up until today, being pregnant, I still lean into those tools and I look forward to doing the practices because it brings me back to me. Yes, this journey is very much about the little human being growing inside of you. But just to remember that these practices help you sleep better, regulate your nervous system, be content in social situations that are difficult, teach you how to have peace of mind in really uncomfortable conversations with doctors or waiting rooms or needles being stuck in your arm. It just teaches you to know that you have all the answers within yourself and to lean into all the trust that you might need and that you can provide yourself with at the end of the day. You don't need an outside source to do that. And all these little tools and practices are kind of habit stacking that we hear so much about. We learn how to process things in a completely different way. And you realize that you don't need to have talk therapy or pop a pill to feel good. You can do it yourself. And the more you do it, the more you can lean into it and the more trust you have in yourself to get you out of difficult situations. I am quite scared of the delivery of my baby, I'm not going to lie. And I'm leaning into so many of these practices now, thinking I have to trust the system and I have to trust myself and I have to co-regulate with my baby. And had I not done all these practices, I don't think I would be able to go through this because it's something I'm absolutely petrified of. And I find myself leaning into these practices more and more now in the lead up to my delivery, just because I know it's gotten me through so much and it's not going to let me down.
I love that you touched on that, this idea of, yes, you can get through your fertility journey in any way that you want to, but when you are able to address some of the things that you've been through, it makes the journey ahead so much easier. I mean, I look back at the first fertility journey that I had where I did not lean into any of the woo-woo things. I was like, cool, going to do what the doctor said. I'm going to push, I'm going to keep going. And I got there. I got pregnant. I had the baby, but I was an anxious wreck my entire pregnancy. I was a crazy, obsessively scared new mother, and I had not healed so much of what I had been through. And it didn't set me up very well for an easier journey the second time around either. I found that even more difficult, and it was much longer than the first. And I don't think that that's a coincidence. You mentioned that you had started this practice of TRE, which is trauma release exercises, for those who don't know. And it's something we don't talk about enough, the trauma of this journey. And I think people dismiss it so much, and it doesn't help that everyone around us dismisses fertility issues. You can just try again, or, why are you so upset? You couldn't get pregnant. Like these things that we go through are so deeply traumatic, and they are held within our bodies. And as you said, you can't talk your way out of it. You can't just go to a therapist and, you can intellectualize what you've been through and you can, feel heard, and that's great. But if your body is still holding on to so much, I feel like it's going to hold you back. And these trauma release exercises that you did specifically are amazing, and they're things that I include within my program because I've had amazing experiences with them myself. But you've got to find these ways of making your body feel safe again. And I think that, gosh, when you do that, it's like you said, it was like the one step after the next step, and this door opened and then this led to that, and it just felt easier. And that is what I want for everyone who's listening to this. Oh, Nadia, I could ask you a gazillion more things, but I will ask you one more thing. And that is what you would want to go back and tell yourself, or for someone who is still in the depths of their own struggle right now, what would you want that person to know?
I would tell myself and the person in that struggle that, look, what I'm going to say is not pleasant, but you need to go through the hard stuff. Not that you need to, but you have no idea what a gift it is to go through that. Because had you not gone through the hard stuff, you wouldn't see how beautiful the rainbow is at the end of the journey. You wouldn't have the resiliency that comes with it. You wouldn't have the tenacity, the strength. You are going to be so proud of yourself at the end of this journey. This gift is so, so beautiful. I wouldn't have changed my journey for anything in the world. I would say to Nadia starting this journey, it's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy, but you are going to learn so many things about yourself. You're about to give yourself so many beautiful experiences. There's going to be so many highs and so many lows, but I'm going to be with you every step of the way. And there are people waiting to enter your life that are going to bring miracles and so much joy and so many blessings. And you're going to meet people that are going to be with you for life. But most importantly, the new you is going to be with you for life. And you will take that strength and that resilience with you into every area of your life, not just fertility. It's going to help you in your relationships, in your career, in your marriage, in your mental strength is going to increase so much. And you know that if you can get through this, you can get through anything. And as I mentioned, I wouldn't change anything in my journey. I would go through the losses again just to get to where I am now, because the sweetness of that fruit is just so beautiful. I just wish everybody could experience it.
I always say to people when they are struggling and they want that little bit of hope or that little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, exactly that, Nadia. It's like, well, if you can do this, if you can get through this, you can do anything. What else can you do? And your whole world just opens up. And like you, I don't think I would take back a moment of it. And it led me to this incredible work and to be able to meet people like yourself and to be able to share in these journeys. So thank you. Thank you for sharing all of this, Nadia. You are a gift. You are just such a beautiful personality and energy. And I think that everyone listening to this is going to be able to feel that and share in all of the joy that you've brought here today. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Jen. And so much joy and blessings to you, because you are just a magician in your field and you have changed so many people's lives, not only mine, in the most beautiful way. And I'm so grateful I found you because you were literally life-changing. So thank you.
Thank you for listening right to the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed this. She is so much fun. I hope that you found this episode inspiring, because that is my ultimate goal in sharing these incredible stories. Now, remember, if you want to experience the exact practices that Nadia spoke about in this episode, come and join me at the end of this month at Embrace the Journey. Again, the links are in the show notes. Now, next week on the podcast, if you listened to my episode earlier this week around manifestation, then the next part of this is to lean into surrender. And that is exactly what we're going to be speaking about on the next episode. So until then, I am sending you all of my wishes as you continue your own journey to fertility.
I went through years of struggling through infertility, multiple diagnoses, IVF cycles, and pregnancy loss. And against all the odds, I managed to bring home 2 beautiful babies. So much of this defied logic. And that is what happens when you are able to shift your mindset, regain trust in your body, and find a new way of approaching your fertility journey. This is exactly what we're going to explore together inside Embrace the Journey. In this brand new live virtual experience at the end of this month, I will guide you through a powerful process that takes a deep dive look into how you can sync with your cycle, regulate your nervous system, and overcome all those limiting subconscious beliefs. All of this is with one goal in mind: to bring you closer to your baby. This is a 3-day event that shows you how to use the incredible practices of fertility yoga, meditation, and breathwork to see what is possible. Over the last few years, thousands of women from all over the world have taken this training with so many incredible results. So join the list now over at elementpilatesyoga.com/waitlist or follow the link in the show notes. I cannot wait to see you there.